Om Guru Vajradhara Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi Chetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Tseji Nyingne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Ila Sambe Dede Malupa Geme Lunge Drubra Jingil Soni Sodan Dikdun Shabe Tse Dunge Namge Yinso Lekshune Labchen Tsoni Yonso Zobadan Chera Nyedun Chamara Jingelo Chancho Parginin Tsen Tukun To Nyu Peme Siudro Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen Dela Drubra Jingelo Dagi Lona Chola Chokpadan Chomi Samjurngemba Shiwadan Chodan Tumbe Dede Malupa Beme Lunge Drubra Jingelo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamchedan Techi Pardune Kautam Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Tukche Chingi Dala Siksu So Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tuje Rabgongne Kudan Sungi Nawa Drametu Nyamsunyonwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kundu Yanda Lama Drame Cheki Pela Longchuchi Kiyente Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyurto Besho Pakyuke Kudanda Gelu, Pakyuke Sundanda Ginga, Pakyuke Tugdanda Gi, Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Alo, Makyuke Kudanda Gelu, Makyuke Sundanda Ginga, Makyuke Tugdanda Gi, Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Alo, Om Muni Muni. Mahamuni Shakyamuni Svoha Sashi Peke Chukshi Metotra Riravlingshe Nide Gembadi Sange Shindul Mikte Ulvargi Drogu Namda Shingla Cheparasho Yedam Guru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryatayami Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchire Sangye Druparash Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Nagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Drola Pinchira Sange Druparish Sange Chodan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Drola Pinchira Sange Druparisho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni, possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Laye ke dan ludan ne jin ke drubondan da mi ke namdam drowa kun ge rana che tsampa tamche ke do da ge che ten to. So the point, first thing, is that there are things in our lives that we know, but at the same time that we know, we forget. They're very simple things, others more complex. That if we ask ourselves, do you know this? If we make the question, we will answer, oh yes, we know it. But we are not aware of that during our daily life. So we know, but we forget. And there is a Tibetan saying, which is, Jena Sheba Dangalo. which means if you forget, if you forget, it is contradictory of knowing. If you forgot something, then you don't know it. No? So there are things that somehow we know, but we forget, in the sense that if we reconnect to it conceptually, we know the answer, but we do not apply it in our daily life. And for that reason, there are some simple questions that even though conceptually we already know the answer, we need to make to ourselves again these questions. Because by doing that, it will help us gradually to bring it to consciousness. One of the very basic questions is, what do I want? Truly. What actually do I want? Why do I do what I do? You know? And many of us will say, I don't know what I want really. And others may say, I want so many things. I want water, I want a new phone. I was saying, actually, I don't need a new phone, but I don't want a new phone. But better to say, otherwise tomorrow someone come with a present of a new phone. No need. I have a beautiful phone, I don't need a new phone, and I don't want a new phone. Anyhow. But we may think, oh, I want a new phone, I want this, I want that person to be like this. Oh, I want to be in summer, but it should not be too hot. Or I want this, or I want that. And we have too many things. Or I want to be hot when I want to be hot, and when it shouldn't be hot, it shouldn't be hot. You know, we have so many wants. I like to eat this, I don't like that, and how many things that we don't want. We have many things, and I'm sure that if we make a list here of each one of us, of the things that we want, we can fill up a long, big, thick book of all the wants that we have, you know. And but actually all our desires, and we can have many desires, and they can be very contradictory between us. But all our desires, if actually we go deep into it, you know, there is some few exceptions, which now we don't need to go into details, in some very rare cases. Otherwise, all our desires, they actually can come down into two, which are the wish to be happy and the wish not to suffer. We have attraction for happiness, aversion for suffering, which actually is one desire with two manifestations. And this is what makes us do everything we do. This is the force that is behind everything that we do. And it may look incredible to see, but one person can dedicate his whole life to meditate in the caves. Another person may passing his life in the casino playing to make money, trying to get easy money. The other one may pass his life dedicating that the most important thing is family. And the other one will say, no, I need power. And the other one say, no, it's pleasures. And we can have whatever. But we can have people that they want very different things, but actually they want the same. And it's actually very powerful when we are able to be in front of someone that is very different from us, that apparently want different things than us, to look at that person and to understand deeply, actually we want the same. Because deep inside, what we want is to be happy and not to suffer. Then we project our happiness into different things. And here we may not agree on what we project. I want one thing, you want another. We project the causes of our suffering into different things. But the fact is that truly what we want is simply to be happy and not to suffer. It's like if when I look and I want water, truly I don't want water. What I want is the sensation of pleasure that I believe that I will gain through water. When I say, I don't want to see you anymore in my life, truly that's not what we want. What we want is not to have anymore the suffering that we connect with relating to that person. You know? So, deep inside, we are very simple. And we are all the same. What we want is we want to be happy and we don't want to suffer, which is basically the same thing, just different manifestation. And that's basically what we want. That's basically where we are. But sometimes it happens that actually we forget about the main reason and we get lost in what is in between. So I forget that actually what I want is to be happy, and I think that what I want is just the water. Then maybe to gain water there is a lot of suffering involved, and it's very difficult when I have the water, but I still want the water. And I forget that actually what I want is to be well. What I want is to be happy. And it's important for us to make clear what we want. Why are we here? We may have different explanations. I am here because I have a lot of faith in Rinpoche and I wanted to come here. I'm here because I saw the teachings in YouTube. I'm here because I like to find a nice place where to be during the summer. I'm here because I'm doing the course with Tonla for the Tibetan bells. I'm here for this, that. But deep inside, why are we here? Because we don't want to suffer and we want to be happy. The other day, there was one guy making an interview to me. Some of our friends were here in the Gompa. And he made a particular question, which I don't remember someone making to me, which was, what is the reason? How can you explain? The question was, how can you explain why a person would like to reach liberation from samsara? No? The answer that I gave, which is what I believe, is the same reason why someone would like to drink a cappuccino. Truly, why do you want to drink a cappuccino? Because you like it, but truly why? Because you want to feel happy and you don't want to suffer. Because that's why I don't like cappuccino, so I would not drink a cappuccino. If for me, it would be more in the case of taking ice cream, for example. But I cannot take the ice cream because it's momentary pleasure and later suffering, so that's not also working. But when I do something, it's why? Because I drink a nice glass of water. Why? Because I want to be happy and I don't want to suffer. That's it. And then why do I need to get out of samsara? Because I want to be happy and I don't want to suffer. Truly, the reason is the same. What makes the main difference is not what we want, but where do we project our happiness and where do we project the causes of our suffering? What do we do to be happy? What do we do to avoid suffering? That's the main issue. But for whatever reason, sometimes we forget about that. Actually, what we want is just to be happy and not to suffer. And someone may say to me, "Oh, Lama, but that's a bit selfish, no? Isn't it?" And the answer is yes. But then I bring a question back. Most of us, I cannot say everyone, but if you think each one about yourself, are we selfish or are we all here bodhisattvas? No, which is our main priority? I and my, or the whole well-being of everyone? No, you think for yourself. But the truth is that we are selfish. We are obsessed with self-gratification. And even when you see one person getting angry, and when we get angry, why do we get angry? Because we don't want to suffer. And we want to avoid and eliminate the object of suffering. But by getting angry, we suffer more. So for me, when someone gets really angry, it's like taking a big board where it's written, "Look how ignorant I am. In order to avoid suffering, I do something that makes me suffer more." But we do so many things like this in life. Because of our own ignorance, there are many things that we do that truly what we want is to be happy and not to suffer, but we end up doing things that makes us to suffer more and to have less happiness. So the first question is, what do I really want? And we start by what I want because that's where we are. Most of us, we are selfish. I say most of us because I don't know each and every one, and I cannot know how many bodhisattvas or Buddhas are around here. But generalizing, what we want is just to our own well-being. That's our main priority. Then there is the other part of developing bodhicitta, developing unconditional love, and so on. But we must start from where we are. We cannot start a path from a place that we are not. And the question is, am I selfish? If the answer is yes, that's where I need to start from. I cannot start from somewhere else. So, do I want to be happy? Yes. Do I want to avoid suffering? Yes. Is that my main priority in life? Ideally not, but sincerely yes. So the question is, what do I need to do for that? That's the second question, which is very important. Okay? Once we know what we want, which is basically to be happy and not to suffer, it comes the second point, which is, what do I do to be happy and not to suffer? No? What shall I do? And this brings another question actually, which is it actually possible to be happy? Because how long have it been that we are trying? In this life? 2 years? Depends how, if you are 2 years old, it's 2 years. How old are we? A little bit more, no? For me now, 39. Okay? So basically, since we were born, there is the small baby. Why the baby cries? Because doesn't want to suffer and because wants the pleasure. So I need milk, I need this, I don't want that, It's, since we are very small, we are trying to do what we can to be happy and not to suffer. It's part of our nature. And if we add to it all the lives that we have lived before, how long has it been since we are trying to be happy? Try to find a state of permanent happiness and to be free from suffering. Very long time. I don't know how to put that into numbers, but that's a very long time. So someone can say, come on, if I have been trying all this time and it's not possible, then forget about it. I believe it's possible for two reasons. One, I have met people that for me were an direct, real example of it. One of these persons is Lama Michel Rinpoche. I saw with Rinpoche so many times. Rinpoche went through so many difficulties in his life. And I was near to him in many moments which were not easy moments, because some people may think, oh, but the Lama, everybody treat the Lama so nicely, life is so pleasurable and so easy, always easy. No. There are difficult moments. I have been through mine, and knowing Rinpoche's life, during Rinpoche's lifetime, he had wonderful things, but he went through many difficult moments also. And I never, ever saw Rinpoche lose his balance, or his love, his stability, his joy. I never, ever saw him losing any of that. I saw Rinpoche in situations where there was a lot of pain. One time, not in the last period when Rinpoche was sick before passing away. During this time, Rinpoche never manifested any moment, any sign of physical or mental suffering. He had some difficulty breathing and he was weak physically. But then he was 95% of the time sitting cross-legged all the time. And one time I even asked Rinpoche, he was in the hospital, and I said, Rinpoche, I bring you some text for you to read. He said, everything in here. No need. He was all the time sitting cross-legged. Never manifested for 1 second some sort of physical or mental, unwell state, discomfort. Even whenever was coming a doctor or a nurse into his room, the doctors, the nurse would come, everything okay? He would always do like this. Very good. And they never manifested. Rinpoche didn't took any painkiller in all this process. It's like he was well. But I saw in other moments Rinpoche with pain. Like one time he had a big inflammation on his knee. And I believe that's very painful actually. It was full of liquid. And we were in Holland. And Rinpoche didn't want to stop the teachings that he had planned there. So he was saying, no problem, no problem. I could see clearly that he had difficulty with his knee. And no problem. Then I said, Rinpoche, but is it not painful? At one point he said, yes, painful, yes, but no problem. But he was not manifesting any aspect of suffering. He was okay, he was fine, he was joyful, he was himself. And then some days after, when we came back to Italy, we were in Milan and we went to have one meeting with Pope Francis. And then after that, when that moment finished, Rinpoche had some time, no any particular meeting or something. I said, Rinpoche, maybe we go to the hospital? He said, okay. And then I took him to the hospital near to Milan, and then they took out, I think, 4 or 5 syringe of liquid from the knee. And the doctor said, oh, you could fry an egg on that knee, of how hot it was of inflammation. And sure, there was pain. But Rinpoche never manifested a state of suffering. Never. And Rinpoche, he showed and he explained many moments very clear. Pain is one thing, suffering is another. No? So for me personally, if I would need to describe how it would be to be truly stable and a Buddha in a physical body in this world, Rinpoche was a perfect example. It is still an example for us of that, So my point is, luckily, for my fortune, I have met few people in my life. Rinpoche is one of the main ones, but I've met few people that showed me these qualities. So I say, yes, it's possible. And so why we have not yet reached such state? We have been trying so hard to be happy. Yes, we have. I don't take, out the effort of anyone. But putting a lot of effort doesn't mean gaining the result. If we put a lot of effort in the wrong direction, it's better to have less effort in this case. So, where do we put effort in our lives? Because do we apply energy to be happy? Yes, but where do we put energy? Mostly. To have physical pleasure, to avoid physical suffering. I am hungry, I need to eat, I am thirsty, I want to drink, which is good. I want to drink this, I want to eat that, I want to meet that person, I don't want to meet that other person. Oh, I like this object, I like that. We can basically put that what we do is we try to gain our objects of desire, we try to avoid our objects of aversion, and we try not to be separated from the objects of attachment. This is mostly what we do. And we project it basically as objects of desire and attachment, mostly is external things. There is power, there is pleasure of the body, there is money, there is wealth, recognition, and so on. And we like these things. But none of this is able to sustain our state of happiness and well-being. None of this. The more we have, the more we need to find the same satisfaction. It's never really enough. But there are some things that the more I have, the better I am. Satisfaction, respect, gratitude, love, wisdom, harmony, concentration. There are different inner qualities that the more we have, the better it is. And on the other side, we need to really ask ourselves, why am I suffering? Is it because of the external conditions? Or is it because how I deal with it? And I truly believe that it's not because of the external conditions. It's because how we relate to those external conditions. So we suffer because of our anger, because of our jealousy, because of our hatred, our insatisfaction, our fear, anxiety, and so on. This is what truly makes us to suffer. So the point here is, it's not about practicing the Dharma because we are Buddhist, or because I fell in love with my guru and I need to do what he's telling me to do, and so I need to avoid anger and practice generosity. It's because, do I want to be happy or not? Do I want to avoid suffering or not? Yes. So, insatisfaction, is it helping me or is it making things worse? The more I am unsatisfied, the more I suffer. So, if I want to be satisfied, which is the opposite, if I truly want satisfaction because I recognize that satisfaction helps a lot to be happy, then better I stop complaining and stop criticizing. Because the more I criticize, the more I cultivate insatisfaction. The more I complain, the more I will cultivate insatisfaction. Oh, there is something I didn't say in Italian, but I will add in English. What determines if something is a lot or is little? What determines if something is big or small, is much or less, is long or short? The object by its own intrinsic characteristics, inherent characteristics, or a comparison? Comparison. So the more we complain, the more we compare with something else, and what we have is not enough. No? So, if I want to be satisfied, first thing, stop complaining. Oh, it's not easy. Bite your tongue. Why? Because I want to be happy, and to be happy I need to be satisfied, and to be satisfied I need to stop complaining. Okay. But I don't do it because the Lama told me, or because, oh, it's dharmic to do it. I do because I want to be happy. Oh, I shouldn't get angry because I'm supposed to be Buddhist. No, you shouldn't get angry because you want to be happy and you don't want to suffer. Simple as that. So we need to make this clear connection within us that actually, why do we practice the Dharma? Why we put an effort to cultivate a state of peace and satisfaction, and we have all the different sorts of meditations and the philosophy and whatever? Because truly we want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. And in order to do that, we must eliminate what generates us suffering, and we must cultivate what makes us happy. But this connection, it's very important to make it very clear inside of us. Because if we have passion for satisfaction, if we have passion for gratitude, if we have passion for stability and for concentration and for humility and for wisdom and so on, then we will put energy to develop these things. But we need to desire it. Then how to do, that's another step. Like Lama Tsongkhapa in the 3 main aspects of the path, he explains, first, what is to love oneself? Second, why do we need to love oneself? Third, how to develop love for oneself. But it's useless to explain how if we don't want it. First, we need to have this desire. In other words, this strong desire that we already have, that is the wish to be happy and not to suffer, we need to direct it on things that can sustain a state of happiness and well-being. Which I truly believe it's mostly based on our inner state. Because, for example, if we think about the balance, no? On one side we have environment, conditions, people around us, that we call environment. On the other side we have our body, pleasures, pain, and so on. And on the center we have our own mind. To have a beautiful environment and a healthy body, but a sick mind, it's like living in hell in paradise. To have a terrible environment, a sick body, and a stable, peaceful, healthy mind, it's like living in paradise even though you are in hell. So what determines mainly is how we live the world, and not how is the world around us. And the way how the world becomes and what happens, it's a reflection of the choices we make, which comes deeply from our own inner state, emotional state also. So this part, which is one of the main points I wanted to bring, actually the main point is the one I'm just going to conclude just after, but the process is, what do I want? I want to be happy, I don't want to suffer. Truly speaking, if we go a little bit deep and we are truly sincere with us, what makes us happy and what makes us to suffer? What can sustain happiness and what generates suffering? I have never seen one example of one person that could sustain a state of well-being and happiness by means of trying to make one's own reality perfect. And by having a lot of power, or a lot of money, or a lot of pleasure, you know. Have you ever met anyone? Me not. But I have met people that by having a beautiful inner state of being, have been well and happy in whatever situation. That's what I want. That's what I think is, intelligent in a way. Are we selfish? Yes. So at least let's be selfish in an intelligent way. We need to avoid what is harmful and we need to cultivate what is good for us. Simple as that. But we need to connect truly from inside what is good and what is bad. And that's what Dharma is about. It's not about being Buddhist. I don't care if you are Buddhist or not, as long as you cultivate love and wisdom. As long as you develop patience and stability and you go beyond your selfishness and you develop more wisdom. That's the important thing, because the rest is for that. So, what do I really want? It's important for us to make this question. And once we reach the answer, and it's clear for us, that's what Nirvana is about. Eliminating our defilements, reaching a state of peace. And to do that, we cannot just practice the Dharma when we go to the temple or to the center or in our meditation. We must integrate our path to be happy and not to suffer in the way how we relate to our family, in our work, when we have fun, during holidays, and then also when we meditate and when we listen to teachings and when we do what we call spiritual. We need to apply it into every aspect of our life. I see any possibility of doing something like, okay, this is my life and then this is my spiritual practice. This is not sustainable. What there is this is my life. And I must live it in a way that is consistent, that is coherent, that I know that I need to avoid what is harmful. Oh no, now is not the moment to meditate. So when I meditate, may all beings have happiness and it causes, and I love everyone. But that's my Dharma Buddhist part. When I go to work, it's something else. It doesn't function like this. We must truly understand where I want to go, and then we apply everything into that. That's why Dharma is in every action that we do. Okay? So, the point that I wanted to reach today, it's one verse which says, Neljur tamche chigicha. Do all yogas as one. Yogas is not Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, or whatever. Yoga here is walking, eating, dressing, sleeping, talking, enjoying, working, meditating, praying. Every action that we do should be part of the same path, of the same process. We should be constantly on the same path to develop our qualities and to eliminate our defilements, to accumulate virtuous energy and to avoid making negative karma. This is basically We should be constantly on the same path. It doesn't matter what we are doing. If I am eating, if I am sleeping, if I'm having fun, or if I am meditating. We should do the possible always to be on the same direction. Okay, so the conclusion for today is that when we say that all yogas should be practiced as one, meaning that everything that we do in our life should be part of one same practice, which is the process to develop our qualities and eliminate our defilements. It's the path to nirvana. That's what it is about. And it doesn't matter if we are having fun with our friends, if we are working, if we are with our family, if we are meditating, or what we are doing. It should be all part of the same process. And someone may ask, but how do I do it? Traditionally, when in the Vajrayana teachings, when it is explained any practice, such as Vajrayogini or Yamantaka or any other sadhana, it is divided into two parts. How to practice during meditation sessions and how to practice in between meditation sessions. And normally the emphasis is given how to practice during meditation sessions. But what happens is that for most of us, the period between meditation sessions can be a bit long. It can last maybe days or weeks or months or years. Who knows, lives, hopefully not, no? But normally between the meditation it can last for quite long. No? When the sadhanas were taught, it was taught for people that they would do 12 hours a day of meditation. So, at least. So there was the periods in between. But the teachings of how to practice in between somehow for us nowadays becomes almost more important than how to meditate, because we pass not so much time meditating. So how do we practice in our daily life? When we eat, when we walk, when we talk, when we work, and all these moments, no? And there are many ways of doing it. And we are not going to enter now into all the details of all the methods that exist. I'd like to share one aspect, which for me it's quite practical and it's very wide. We can apply it to many things. Once it's clear for us, what I want is to be happy and not to suffer. And I recognize that my happiness comes from my own inner state, inner qualities, and my suffering comes from my own inner defilements. So I need to do whatever is necessary to cultivate my qualities and to abandon, diminish my own defilements. So basically, insatisfaction brings suffering. I don't want to be insatisfied. I want to have satisfaction. So, for example, stop complaining. Because the more I complain, the more I will be unsatisfied and the more I will suffer. It's mathematical. If I want to be satisfied, I need to have gratitude. I need to cultivate a sense of gratitude. Say thank you. How wonderful. Rejoice. The more I do, the more satisfied I become, the more happy I am. More or less, it works like this. But the fact is that we have habits. We are made out of habits. And habits manifest in our lives. You know, it's not enough to say I shouldn't get angry. Anger manifests. But here we have a choice. I will make one very small example, which we can put into many other things, but one example. Let's say we get home in the evening. We live with someone else. And as we get home, we see that the dishes are still to be washed. So I said, actually it would be good to wash the dishes up, but I don't want. So why I don't want to wash the dishes? Because I'm lazy. And actually there is not a big deal. The other person can come and wash the dishes and will not complain even about it, and everything is fine. But in the moment that I see the dishes to be washed, and out of laziness, I don't wash the dishes, what am I cultivating inside of me? Laziness. When I do anything out of laziness, my laziness gets stronger. If I see this happening, and I say, now I must wash the dishes, Why? Because I don't want to follow my laziness. If I wash the dishes in the moment that I see that I don't want to wash because of laziness, then I am making my laziness weaker. On the other side, if I get home and I see the dishes are still to be washed, and I say, oh, that's a good opportunity for me to show to the other person that I am better than him or her. Out of arrogance. So, if I wash the dishes, I am cultivating arrogance. If I don't wash the dishes, I am making my own arrogance weaker. So in this case, better not to wash the dishes. So the point is that what is important is not specifically what we do or how we do that is also important. But mostly important is by doing that, what are we cultivating? Because our own emotions and thoughts and habits, they manifest. But as they manifest, if we follow and we materialize them by words, by actions, we make them stronger. If we don't follow, even better if we are able to apply an antidote, the opposite, but even if we don't apply an antidote, by simply not following it, we make it weaker. It's a long process, but it works. It's like one example was one great master called Geshe Chekawa. Not Geshe, Geshe Ben Kungel, sorry. And Geshe Ben Kungel, he was a very direct practitioner. And many stories from him. But one day he was making a retreat, and he was in a sort of meditation hut in the mountains. And his sponsor that was bringing him the food and supporting him financially during the process, he was coming there to see him one day. So he knew that was the day of his sponsor coming. So he cleaned better the room of meditation room. He put more beautiful offerings. He used to do offerings in the altar every day, but this day he put the offerings more beautifully. He went to look for flowers. He make it nice. He make everything nice. He prepared himself nicely to receive the sponsor and so on. Then he sat down while he was waiting the sponsor, and he started just sort of reflecting for a moment. And then he asked himself, but who are all these offerings for? For the Buddhas or for my selfishness? For my own self-gratification. And then he saw, am I doing these offerings to make my sponsor think how good practitioner I am so he can help me better financially? So at this moment, he took some earth from the ground and threw on all the offerings, making everything dirty. And he sat there with a bad face. And when the sponsor came, he almost didn't talk to him. He said, okay, leave it there. Not even good morning, hello. So the sponsor went back to see to his guru, who told him to help this monk. And he said, I'm not helping him anymore. Look at that, all the room dirty, all the offerings full of earth, and he's not even looking at my face. And then he asked, but how it was, and he explained. And then the master said, Kyapsuchi, which is the greatest way of respect. He said, he's really practicing. He makes the best offerings to the Buddhas because he went against his selfishness. So, very often what is important is not exactly what we do or even how we do, but what inner aspect that action will cultivate inside of us. Maybe we do something that on a practical level doesn't go well. We lost money, and didn't go well in our job, things were not good. But by the end of the day, we are more stable, we were able to cultivate our qualities, we were able not to follow certain defilements, we were able to learn something important for us. It went very well. Maybe we do something that practically went very well. I made money, I got success, I got a promotion in my job, that's so good, But I cultivate so much anger, and I have so much resentment, and I have so much bad feelings connected to everything that I did that I need long time of therapy and who knows how much practice to deal with it. It went very bad. The question that we should put to ourselves is not so much what I do, and even how I do, which is still more important, but it's mostly what I cultivate within myself. And we should put effort and awareness to cultivate respect, gratitude, satisfaction, love, stability, humility, generosity, wisdom. And not to follow our anger and insatisfaction and jealousy or envy and all of that. These habits will manifest, but we have the power to follow or not to follow, to materialize or not to materialize, to victimize ourselves or not. We have these choices. It's not easy, huh? It's not at all easy, but life is difficult. So somehow we put effort in something that will generate more and more good energy and qualities. And this is one of the ways of practicing. Then we have many small practical things that we can do. How when we wake up, when we dress, when you do makeup, or anything. There are many ways of doing things that we can adapt to cultivate our qualities. For example, connect clothes or jewels with qualities that we need to remind ourselves, or the color of our clothes. So, I will adorn myself with generosity. I will adorn myself with patience. We can connect each thing with something else, but we don't go into that now, otherwise we stay here until tomorrow. Okay? But the important thing is we need to practice our qualities, cultivate our qualities, familiarize ourselves with our qualities, and try to avoid and not follow our defilements every day, every time, in every moment. And by this we are practicing the Dharma. Then we also do meditation, recite mantras, study philosophy, all that is wonderful. But that alone is not enough. We need to apply it in our daily life. And that's very, very important part of all of it. Okay? So we will do now our dedications. I'd just like to ask everyone, please, if there is anything that we said together that you really think, okay, that makes sense, I think it's correct, then just try to put it into practice. Remember it tonight, remember it tomorrow, write it on your phone, write on the mirror of your bathroom, do something, because as we said in the very beginning, there are many things that we know, but we forget. And most probably everything that we said today you already knew, but maybe you forgot. If not, it's just another reminder. Okay? Kyewa kuntu yanda lama dan drame cheke pela longche ching sadang lamge yönten rabzone dorje change kopang nyurto besho Jetsun lame kutse rapten chin nam karatin le chochur gepada losan tempe dreme sasumge drove munse tatu ne gyur chi nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delekshin ninsen takto delek pe kuncho sumke jingelo kuncho sumke ngodrup sol kuncho sumke trashisho